BBC Music introducing Walt's Frozen Head, our second session of the show. Absolutely delighted that Al from Walt's Frozen Head is sat opposite me in the studio. Good evening.
Good evening, Jericho. How are you?
Yeah, really well, thank you. I know that I've been playing your tunes for quite a while. And
yeah, well, lovely.
Just refreshing myself, I looked on the uploader, and what I loved was my first introduction to you, apart from the music, was having been in several meat and potato indie bands, the last thing I wanted to serve was a shepherd's pie. Incredible.
Yeah.
So how did we get to this point where we are now then?
What, avoiding shepherd's pie?
Yeah, if you like.
Well, there was an ethos, there was a plan. It was like, well, what can we do? Can we do something a bit cartoony, a bit of horror, a bit of surreal comedy, something that wasn't just music, that was something interesting, with some visuals that went along with it, videos and artwork and what have you. So, yeah, that was how to avoid being meat and potatoes.
Well, you've done it really well, Al.
Oh,
why did you want to do something like that? Like, you wanted to avoid the meat and potatoes, we keep saying, but why did you want to bring that element into music?
Well, I guess my first interest was comedy when I was a kid.
Right.
And I absolutely I discovered like Monty Python cartoons, things like that, at the same time as early Pink Floyd and psychedelic Beatles. I thought, wow, is there a band that's somewhere in between all that? And of course there was. It was the Bonzo Dog Doodah band. But so I thought, let's be a modern day Bonzo Dog Doodah band and try and do something really interesting.
And it is really interesting. So when you were getting other people on the ride with you and you're trying to explain it, was everyone like, yeah, let's do that? Like, what are you on about, Al?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit nuts, but yeah.
No, I love it.
People are interested in it, so they just want to get involved. But, you work with mates. That's the best way to make music, is to work with mates anyway. So you've got kind of same sense of humour and stuff anyway.
With your songwriting as well, what sort of reference points do you have? Or do you ever write a song? I don't know if you've ever written a song on acoustic guitar and said, right, this is a nice song, now let's weird it up a bit.
It's always a bit quirky from the off,
Yeah.
but it's in the studio where you experiment.
Right.
You just think, let's try and do that. I remember saying to my producer, I want to sing this one underwater. And he said, well, how are we going to do that? So we got a bucket out and put a mic near the bucket and tried to sing underwater. Because you can't sing underwater, but you get some interesting...
Because you've tried.
You get some interesting sounds, which ended up in one of the tracks. So, yeah. But yeah, I'll often at the end of a session of a song, I'll often say, right, okay, let's just do a Walt track and we'll just leave it running, and I'll just make silly noises and just whatever comes to me and grab things. It's chaos. 80% of it is binned, but you get 20% go.
It feels like art and expression is really important to you, Al.
Oh yeah, it's everything. Yeah, it's the only thing we've got.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about this mascot then that I've seen from the pictures when you were recording this from the balcony.
Oh yeah, well one of the noises and the characters I do is we refer to it as Igor. So I thought, and we did a video that had Igor in it, and I thought, oh right, okay, well I'm interested in stage props, so I thought I'll have Igor on stage. So I made that myself. But another thing, when I was a kid, I loved making props. So yeah, I thought, right, okay, I'll just get this styrofoam head and put some ping pong balls for eyes and put a light in its mouth, stuff like that, and have it on stage. It just sets the scene nice, thinking when people arrive to a gig, think, oh, I think this might be a bit different. But we're developing that for the next shows, so we're actually going to have Walt's head on stage talking to the crowd. So yeah, it's going to be brought on stage with a lizard doctor in a doctor's coat and put his head on stage, and he's going to talk to the audience and talk in between the songs, kind of announce songs and stuff like that. So that's what I'm working on at the moment.
I feel with you as well that if you're going to do a gig, there's a lots of preparation for all this sort of stuff that goes into it. Like if someone give you a last minute call and says, oh, we've had a dropout, can you come down to Dog and Duck in half an hour and play? It doesn't feel like you could do that because you'd have a lot of stuff to prep before going down.
No, we'd do it.
Oh, would you? You'd make something work.
Yeah, we'd do it. Yeah, it's nice doing stuff on the fly. That's when the good stuff happens sometimes. But yeah, no, as long as the head's ready and Igor's ready, the band's always rehearsed up, so we can always go. Yeah.
What's the reaction like when people stumble upon your live shows? Because it is different and it is quirky, but it is incredible, and I love stuff like this that is out of the box, and people, because there's so many bands doing the same thing: turn up, play, go home.
Well, interesting. The very last show we did was at the Fulford, and it was full of kind of like teens, early 20s, And they were just mesmerised by it, and I just thought, oh crikey, what are they going to do? And they all came up and said, we totally get what you're trying to do, and this, that, and the other. And I was packing away, and someone said, you better get to the merch stand, Al. I was like, oh, right, okay. And anyway, there's a queue for all the vinyls and T-shirts and so on, so it really landed nicely, that. Yeah, I think it just stands out because it's a bit different.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we welcome with open arms, especially on this show. It's all about expression. So you mentioned about gigs.
Mm-hmm.
What have we got up our sleeve? Have we got anything in the...
You wouldn't believe it's actually really difficult to get gigs, and because the band's so unique, it actually makes it more difficult to get gigs because people are like, promoters like, who can I put these on with? So I think the thing what we're going to do is actually book venues and curate our own nights.
Right,
so
okay.
I might have a comedian on, a poet on, another off-the-wall band, something like that. But yeah, we're up for anything, any support slots that would be suitable, or any events or festivals. We're well up for it. So yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, I know it is, and I'm quite surprised that you haven't got any gigs that you can reel off, because I thought you'd be in demand at the minute.
I think hopefully end of summer I'm going to do everything I can to get at least 5 in the diary.
All right.
Promoters are bombarded by acts wanting slots and.
Yeah, but you're not just any ordinary act, Al.
Well,
you're Walt's Frozen Head.
Well, I know that, but.
Hey, if people haven't cottoned on to the name, I don't really like talking about names because I like it to leave it, but I've mentioned it on the show before. Walt's Frozen Head, give people the lowdown. So,
it's about the urban myth that Walt Disney had his head cryogenically frozen and now he's in storage. Now, this is the bit that's contentious, because some people say it's in the castle at the Magic Kingdom, some people say it's under the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, which I can't
What do you believe?
I think it's a load of rubbish, but I just love the idea of it. But yeah, the idea was he had his head cryogenically frozen to be brought back to life when the technology was there, and I just love the idea of it. But the song came first. Walt's Frozen Head came first, and then I just thought, what are we going to call this? I just thought, that's a good name for a band.
It's a really good name for a band.
We were close. Bon Yeti Bon got close.
Nah, but we called Walt's Frozen Head. I prefer that one. You mentioned about when you finished your show at the Fulford Arms and people were at the merch stand wanting vinyl and such like. What we're looking like in terms of possible releases this year, next year? What we're looking at?
So when we do eventually do some shows, what I'm hoping to do is that there's 2 things that's available, 2 EPs. One is kind of more introspective stuff, which has been coming out of late. And one is classic Walt Madcap stuff. So there'll be 2 6-track EPs, I think, that will be available at the gigs. So there will be a physical copy or 2 available at some point this year,
I really want to ask you about this next song that you recorded for us at the balcony. Was that all right, by the way?
It was excellent, John. Yeah, great venue, lovely. Yeah,
good. All right, then. Who Gets the Dog?
Yeah. All right, okay. Well, this is where the entire Walt ethos gets thrown out the window.
Right.
Because I went through a breakup 2 years ago, and it really affected my songwriting because being Madcap wasn't at the forefront of my mind. So I went through my Adele period, or my Dylan Blood on the Tracks period. So I ended up writing quite a lot of sad songs, and this is to do with my dog Waffles, which I had with my last girlfriend, and unfortunately that all went wrong. And Waffles now lives in Newcastle. So who gets the dog? It's pretty self-explanatory, but lockdown, relatable. People had difficulties in relationships in lockdowns, and lots of people got dogs.
Yeah, that is.
And lots of people had to work out who gets the dog. And
you lost out on this occasion.
Yeah, but the dog's very happy.
And you got a fantastic song out of it.
And I got a good song out of it.
Right, okay. Walt's Frozen Head, thank you so much for joining us on BBC Music, introducing. If you like the sound of this, of course you do, go back and listen on BBC Sounds and show all your mates. But it's the second song that Walt's Frozen Head recorded for us at the balcony. This is Who Gets the Dog.
It's me, darling. I watch you leaving for Seaton's northeast coast. But as far as here now, my God, heart's so heavy now. losing now. I quit calling. I hear you barking, but it's all in my head now. My dog, as far as heaven now. My dog, heart so heavy now. To another town, I'm falling. Nights disclosing as the falling years dispel. My dogs, paws are running now, long gone, cold forever now. Reach beneath the skin, I'm crawling round the spheres as the haunted years abound. My dog, as far as heaven now. My God, heart so heavy. And I'm carsick, fight the fear, 'cause the end is here right now. My dog, paws are running now. My God, this cold and empty house. You stop running round my hallway. I'm as frozen as the loft, these windows cold. My